How are we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. Got another album review for you, and this is the new album from Unearth, the Wretched, the Ruinous. And I was there more or less at the beginning of Unearthed. I was there when the Endless EP came out, and then after that, the Oncoming Storm. Great album, great EP. I remember when Endless come out, that song was just the heaviest song ever. And many a pit I was in during that song. And in those days, and my pitting days are well and truly over now. But fists flying around in circles and all that good fun. And yeah, I remember Oncoming Storm was a really good album as well. The Great Dividers, Failure, great song. And they re-recorded Endless for this. And I think I preferred the version on this, but I think it's one of those songs. I think your favourite version is going to be whichever one you heard first, really. There was certainly nothing wrong with it. But yeah, Zombie Autopilot as well. Unearth came up in that time of metalcore, which, I was getting into... I really got into the hardcore scene at that point. In the UK, you had bands like Knuckle Dust and Unite, and in America, you had bands like Poison the Well, Waiting Visions. Trying to think, Hopes Fall. I remember you had that Trust Kill DVD. It was like a festival. I forget what it was now. Yeah, and the Hope Conspiracy, Converge. Poison the Well was the main band. I like Vision of Disorder, obviously bands like that as well. Then obviously Madball and so on and so forth. Good times. And I think the band that really broke through, it was all going on and the window was splitting, but the one that shot through was Killswitch Engage when they did Alive or Just Breathing on on Roadrunner, and then it all just kind of came from there. I think the first time I saw Poison the Well, when they came to the UK, was when they opened for Killswitch Engage at the Main Fiddler. And Unearthed were in that crop of bands, and it seemed like they were going to be... Sky Came Falling, that was another good one. And yeah, with the track Endless, it seemed like they were going to, come through. And then obviously with Killswitch Engage, the whole metalcore thing came on. Early Lamb of God was kind of lumped in with that. You had bands like Shadows Fall. What was the one? I think it was Unearth, Shadows Fall, Killswitch, and God Forbid was another good one. And yeah, it seemed like they were probably they were everyone's favourite support band. They were a really good band that would be on a package or in a festival, and everyone had different, this album or that album, but it looked like Unearth were definitely the best live band of that crop, certainly the heaviest, and it was just, we were just waiting for that classic album to come along. Same as Shadows Fall, really. Great live band, but with the Art of Balance, and then there was the War Within, it was just there. And then, I don't know, with Shadows Fall, that classic album that sort of just nailed them into the history of metal, just never quite came. And I kind of feel it was the same with Unearth, really, because you had they were making the rounds with the early releases, a bit like a boxer coming up, and then they had that that bout with the champion, and then they had Unearth 3, and there was a big buzz around this album because it was being produced by Terry Date, and obviously with Terry Date's credentials, it was like, yeah, Unearth are going to arrive. And I've got to be honest, I remember being a bit underwhelmed by this album at the time. I was like, oh, it wasn't quite it wasn't the stone cold classic I thought it was gonna be, and I thought it wasn't one step on really from the Oncoming Storm. And I don't know, just standout tracks were just weren't really there really. But overall, for the collection of songs that they had and a good live set that they did, Unearth were a band that I always liked, and yeah, they just never quite they never went up a level, really. But many of bands that did come in and ended up bigger than them and on a higher echelon than them, like with all good scenes, you have the bands that come in at the top, they put out the classic albums and they get big. some break up, some go crap, and then ones on the lower level stay consistent, and that's where Unearthed are in that metalcore scene that came in the early 2000s. And I've got to be, I'm always completely honest here. I never make out, after this one, I kind of fell off the waist, I kind of just moved on to other bands, really. But I was intrigued for some reason to check out the new album. It got a particularly good review on Blabbermouth. And Dom Lawson in that, Dom's always pretty trustworthy, I find, with his reviews. And he said it's made metalcore sound like a good idea again, which I thought was a good little summary in a sentence. I'll just show you off the digipack here. It's not much really to show off. You've got a booklet there. You've got lyrics. You've got 2 bits of artwork there that are pretty cool, which you get there on the cardboard thing. There's no band photos or anything like that. But yeah, there's no nonsense. This is 36 minutes of just a good metalcore album in a way that, I think all metalcore kind of formed on its own with no real design, and I think a lot of bands got lumped into it that didn't want to. But, Unearth do it properly, and they do it what it was meant to be. It was meant to be a metal approach to a hardcore, incorporating a hardcore show and hardcore aesthetics into a metal band. We would, the hangover of new metal had been shaken off then, and there was a new crop of bands coming up. So I think, sort of sonically with the new metal thing, with the down tuning and all that, but they were rediscovering old school metal and incorporating that modern crunch. Obviously, you got Pantera has happened at this point, but taking in the excitement and the fun and the DIY ethics of a hardcore show, and it all just kind of became metalcore. Then, obviously, once the term was coined, and then the people come in later, and the formula's formed, and then people start following that formula while the original crop of bands, what I'm getting at. So, yeah. But it seems to me like Unearth are the ones that have sort of stayed on the second league, really, but have been consistent throughout. That's the impression I'm getting. But, yeah, I've absolutely loved this album, and I'm sitting there scratching my head going, why did you stop listening to them? Like, it happens. I mean, look at, I got more into death metal and more extreme forms of music, and I'm sort of coming full circle there, and bands that I've sort of left alone for a bit, I'm rediscovering, and I'm getting new albums, and yeah. So I don't know how much of a fan you are of the band, and if you stuck with them, and what you think of it. But for me, who was there at the beginning, and then kind of, I think where I was with music as well. I mean, I would like discovering a little secret, and as soon as when I got into the metalcore thing, it was it wasn't as known, and when it did become a bit more known, I was a bit like, I'm past all that now. You know how music snobs are, and I was, I'm definitely guilty of that when I was in my 20s. And yeah, I like the climb. I like, once they get to a certain level, it's sort of like, well, you don't need my help anymore, sort of thing. Once, like I say, I like the climb. I like to see the progression, and when they're at the top of the mountain, it's like, well, good for you. You made it, and then I'll just move on to the next people at the bottom, really. But this has definitely made me go and want to check out. It certainly made me want to reassess these albums. Maybe give Volume 3 another listen, see what I think of it now, and catch up with what has come since. I never listened to the March. Apparently, March is considered by many as their best album, so I've definitely missed the train there. But yeah, I'm loving this. 36 fantastic minutes of just balls to the wall, no nonsense, metalcore, how it should have been, the whole, how it should be and how it was. And that is, good, heavy, ferocious metal with a hardcore energy. The opening track, the Wretched, the Ruinous, or the title track, opens up like a gig, just bam, wall of feedback, drums. And then Trevor just literally just shouts an introduction to the song. It's like he's going, get this fucking bit going. we're gonna, we are on Earth from the, you always give that little intro, and then, opening riff, drums, bam, 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 fucking chaos just kicks off, and you can tell they've got the live show in mind with this, and this album could be played live in full. This sounds like a gig, and you got awesome chaos kicking off, great ferocious riffs, and then as ever with Unearthed, they put in a big melody during the chorus, and it's just a riff that just ties everything up and gives you that hook to guide through, just that. I can't remember the riff off the top of my head now, so I'm bigging it up. But yeah, during the chorus, you have like a melodic riff. Trevor's pretty much, he does what he does vocally. He's not the most versatile vocalist, but he does what he does within his range and does what he's good at. It seems like the band's a 4-piece, or looks like they become a 5-piece again. They've got a new guitarist just joined them, but this album was actually recorded as a 4-piece. And the 2 core members are vocalist Trevor Phipps and guitarist Buzz McGrath. They're the 2 that have been there from day one. But the drummer, Mike Justine, he was on the Oncoming Storm, and I think Volume 3 as well. Apparently he's left the band but now come back. So you got 3, I'll say original members. I mean, Oncoming Storm was the second album, but classic members, should we say. 3 classic members, 2 original, and the bass player's been in the band since 2014. Don't know what happened to Ken, the one with the cool hair. Whatever happened to him? I think looking on Metal Archives, I think he's jumped ship and now he's in what are they called, As I Lay Dying. But maybe I'll come back one day, who knows. But yeah, opening track is awesome. Cremation, the second track, Cremation of the Living. Piercing scream at the beginning of that. And then it goes into... it's hard to describe the songs, really, because I'm just going to be repeating myself. Unearthed do the perfect balance and perfect timing of a great song. Big riffs, big hooks, big melody, throw in it there to, just give you a bit of sugar to help the medicine go down. And big breakdowns, pummeling drums, great vocals, hooky chorus, everything you want, just crammed in. And there isn't a song on this that goes over 5 minutes long. I think the longest song is 4 minutes 40. So every song just does exactly what it's meant to do, goes where it wants to go, does what it wants to do, kicks the shit out of you, and then moves on to the next track. And there isn't an ounce of fat on this, not a second wasted. Eradicator is my favourite song. Again, big. It's where they get catchy, Again, heavy, and then there's this fucking great riff that. Wow, Trevor, shouts again, and then big chorus. Oh, mate, awesome, just pummeling, catchy as hell. And songs like that is like reminded me why I like them in the first place. Then Mother Betrayer, that starts off with like a clean melody on the guitar, bit of clean vocals on there, a bit like a choir, like vocal effect. Kicks in again though, heavy as hell again. And that's what's good about this album as well, is like there's little elements here, little things here, just to break the songs up and just give you a little break, and it separates all the songs. So it's not just bang, 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 It's everything's broken up nicely, perfectly paced. And Mother Thingy has another good riff. It's like a like it's like a high pitched riff that just runs through the song, piecing it all together. Dawn of the Militant. When it kicks in, it just uses the lyric, "I have become death, destroyer of worlds," and it's just heavy as hell. Dun, 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 like real nice, dark and sludgy. Then it's kind of like an album of 2 halves, really. You've got Aniara. Just that was always a common thing with metalcore as well, is that you get like a little instrumental or a little interlude in the middle of the album where it'd just be like acoustic guitar playing, strumming, and then you'll get a lead guitar going over the top. but they're always really good. There was never really, you know. But yeah, you get that on this one. Just a nice little break, really. Just about a minute long thing. Beautiful little bit of music. Gives you a bit of a breather in the middle before kicking back in into the abyss. Fantastic melodic solo on that, and the main melody of Aniara comes back in towards the end of the song. And you even get a little bit of clean vocal on that as well. Not a lot, mind, but it's there. Broken Arrow as well comes back to reminds me of, they've gone back to hardcore on that one. It feels like a hardcore song as well. In fact, it feels like a song that would have been on a demo that's been re-recorded. It goes back to that, back to basics, you know. It's even got that little ringing tail at the end of the riff. And then there's even like a bit where he just like a spoken, not rapping, but you know the way like a hardcore, da 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 da, you know. But yeah, that reminded me of the good old days as well. And then Theatres of War kicks things off nicely. Again, big melodies, big hooks, big shredding, big breakdowns, and yeah, it ends on a real nice, you know, climatic end, and then just rings out, finishes the album really nicely. But yeah, Unearthed are a no-nonsense band that do what they're good at, and you don't really want much from them. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this album. Like I say, this is definitely one to assist you on a workout. Every song on it is great. Everything is perfectly balanced. Everything you want is there. Great vocals, hooky choruses, big pummeling drums, fantastic riffs, big hooks, great melodies, and not overly melodic, so it just dilutes the heaviness. It's just enough there just to keep things interesting and break it up. Yeah, definitely check out Eradicator. I think I've done like 4 videos for this now as well, so they're pushing it pretty heavily. And yeah, if they come over to the UK, I'm definitely going to be checking them out live, and I'm going to go check out the albums I've missed. I'm going to re-listen to these, check out the albums I've missed, and make up for lost time as well, and punch myself in the head for being so fucking stupid for abandoning them all this time. So yeah, Unearthed, the Wretched, the Ruinous, definitely check it out. And yeah, I'll see you all soon with another review. I've got a couple of really good, interesting, something a bit different retrospective coming up with a guest. It's already recorded and in the bag, but that's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. And I'm working on Overkill retrospective part 3, as well as any other albums that are coming out. I've got pre-ordered that will be reviewed soon. So thanks for watching as always, folks. If you got this far, give us one of them, and I'll speak to you all later. Take care.